Hello. Today I'd like to talk about the tarot or cards that people use in spiritual matters, or you'll see them at fairs, or people will do readings for others. Sometimes these get a bad rap, but I feel that's only true when we wrap ourselves up in them and we don't see past them. I was meditating earlier this morning, and this is what came up for me to talk about this. So that's what I'm doing. I'm listening to my inner truth, and it says to talk about this. So I am. So I wrote some things down right after I was done meditating that came up, and I look at tarot cards or any other card like this that you use. They're only as good to use or helpful or enabled or open. They're only as good as the person who's using them, right? Because if that person is not actually connected divinely to their higher self, then the cards are just cards. So the cards are great for accessing intuition, because intuition is like a muscle, and we have to flex our muscles and work with them. We establish connections to them, right? So then that way, we are able to use them better. We're able to expand them, to grow, to amplify. Many people do that in their workouts. Well, it's like a workout for your intuition when you use the cards to access your intuition. It's like you ignite or jumpstart your intuition by seeing the card, right? So for me, the card I saw today, when I pulled a few cards just for this, I was like, should I talk about this? I think so. I've already journaled about it. I will go ahead and talk about it. So whatever cards I pulled about it weren't going to change my mind to talk about it. Do you understand? So the cards aren't something to, be like, yes, this is the only way, I was told this is the only way and this is the only way. And well, that's not true. Because we shape our own destiny by our free will. And what we do can change at any given time. So the choices we make are much more crucial than a card we draw. But today I drew this card for this reading, the Six of Swords. So usually this card, it means travel, get away. There's all kinds of definitions, and you can get different books that will tell you all sorts of things. I've read plenty of them, and that's great. But what really matters, and it's good to read those if you're interested in this, but what really matters is your intuition. What do you see in this card? And for this reading at this time, what came up for me in this card was there is a journey being taken to the other shore, and to go with it and allow yourself to be taken there. So these cards can help us do that from time to time. If we get stuck, if we need a little push, in this, he's using that stick to push off, right? And they're relaxing, they're protected, and they're going to the other shore. So that's what I saw in that card. The more you form the connection, the greater it expands. The more frequently you open to it, the wider it reaches. The more you consciously call upon it, the easier and more natural it flows through you. You can do that through cards or any other way. Meditation, mantras, decrees, going outside. It doesn't have to be through a card. You don't depend on these cards. But you use them if your intuition feels that it's okay to do so, or you would like to look into that, or you'd like to listen to someone who is doing that and allow it to help you progress on your path. Now, you probably want to make sure that whoever is doing this for you is actually connected, right? Because if they're not, then they could be telling you anything, and that influences you, and then what? And then how gullible are you? And how do you feel your own intuition? Do you feel it resonate in your body? Or if they tell you something about your past or your future, what do you do with that? Do you let it rule your world? Or do you listen and say, okay, and accept it and move on and see what happens? So there's no point to do anything but act accordingly, right? In everything we do. So this can help others and yourself on the path. Sometimes we have to open some doors and weed some weeds out of our garden to see the clear picture. This is one way that you could do it. Doesn't mean you have to. Doesn't mean it's for you. I don't always use cards, but every now and then it's fun. And every now and then it's helpful. Not just for me, but for others. What I did do for a while is use the cards for personal inventory. If you look at the AA system, there's a lot of inventory that goes on in that program. And the cards are a way that you can look at yourself. If you draw your own cards and you see where you are and you see what comes up for you. And that is the key. What comes up for you? You can use them to learn, to grow, to enjoy, as reminders, as nudges that we all need sometimes. You see where you are now. And once again, you can do that without cards. You can sit in meditation and see that. You can look at yourself outside of meditation and just see that. Whatever works for you. So, the cards don't tell our future, right? Our free will does. So, when I first got my first deck of cards, they were angel cards. I didn't actually buy them either. But I used them. And these are the cards I got for today when I thought about doing this. And I'm like, oh, what cards could I pull that I could show and talk about? So I got these two, Celebration and Guardian Angel, right? So I felt pretty good about that. I said, oh, okay. Well, that's nice, and it felt right in me. It felt good to be able to come on here and talk about this. Because I would have not always done so. Because I was afraid, too, when I first started using cards. Not right away, but once I started looking into things a little bit more, I'm like, ooh, yeah, I heard a lot of stories about people freaking out and not wanting to do such things anymore. And I read the Bible, right? There are plenty of quotes in the Bible that speak about fortune telling and, what happens to people who do things of this nature. So let me read you a couple. This is only two. I mean, there are so many. Daniel 2:27. Daniel answered the king and said, "Now wise men, enchanters, magicians, and astrologers can show the king the mystery that the king has asked. No wise men, no enchanters, no magicians, or astrologers." And then Jeremiah 27:9. So do not listen to your prophets, your diviners, your dreamers, your fortune tellers, your sorcerers, who are saying to you, "You shall not serve the king of Babylon." Well, yeah. Don't listen to people who are going to steer you away from listening to your true self, right? The Buddha even said that in his words, that you should not take anything that he said unless you figured it out for yourself. Look at it yourself. And Daniel, I mean, he survived those lions. He had a regular prayer system. He was devoted. He had connection, communion. And he didn't let anybody steer him away from that, no matter how much pressure they put on him. It's a beautiful thing. I wish that for everyone here. Chronicles, John, King, Revelations. There are so many chapters. Some of them speak about stargazers, astrologers, fortune tellers. Some put murderers and liars in there as well. The thing is, those things scared me when I first started using cards. I remember one time I went to a store and I got these really beautiful Kuan Yin cards. There she is behind me, Kuan Yin. She's great. I got these really beautiful Kuan Yin cards, and the woman there insisted that I needed to buy this box to put the cards in because I have to keep them safe and put away so they're not out in my house, so I'm protected. And to me, I mean, that sounded, a little silly. I understand that you do need to purify your space and yourself. This is very true. But it sounded silly because it sounded like fear talking, right? You're scared. And if you're scared and you're sending that vibration out, what do you think you'll get back? More fear. Exactly what you're sending out. So the Buddha could tell fortune and misfortune. Some say he had supernatural powers. He knew if people needed to listen to the Dharma sooner than later because he could see their path. And he based this on the sight of karma, and their human tendencies, which have momentum behind them. Don't we all have that? Momentum behind tendencies? Certain characteristics. There are plenty of people addicted to plenty of things that have this issue as well. Cigarettes, drugs, food, sex. There's a momentum to keep doing it. The Buddha was able to discern this type of karma. The Kavata Sutra speaks about some fortune tellers and things that you shouldn't listen to or engage in. the truth is that you shouldn't be a slave to it. You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket, is an expression people say. As long as it's not, if it's the human nature basket. But the eye of a needle is the gate we can enter if we so choose. Buddhism doesn't refute astrology, fortune-telling, spirits, deities, but they do teach to take refuge in yourself. Because that is where the true wisdom lies. And you start seeing that the more you practice. And you don't have to practice Buddhism to see it. You can practice any religion. You can practice no religion. But you do need to commune with your higher self. You need to use your own efforts. The Jatgai stories, they tell a story here. I have a quote written here. The fool may watch for lucky days, yet luck he shall always miss. The luck itself is luck's own star. What can mere stars achieve? This quote means you need to help yourself. How many alcoholics and drug addicts and people out there are always asking for help and calling for help? But you can't help someone like that when they don't want to help themselves even a little bit. They have to put in some kind of effort. Take that first step. In Shakespeare's Macbeth, there is a man, and he asks the doctor for a cure for his wife. The doctor says, "More needs she the divine than the physician." So, obviously we have doctors and nurses and medicines, and some physical conditions require these things, yes. And they can be cured that way. And some are karmic. You ask yourself why people are born with so many issues and illnesses, the child born with cancer. I mean, that's sad, right? There's a lot of compassion there. We ask ourselves, why does that happen? People question God because of that, because those things happen. But some illnesses can only be healed by the purified mind. This is why sound medicine, sound healing is vastly expanding in the world. More and more people are practicing it because people say that it works. And what it works with is the energy, your energy bodies around you, your aura. Because anything that's going to tangibly manifest in the physical is happening there first. So if you can clear it out, with sound, some people use Reiki, other people use different kinds of healing modalities. Some people just meditate. Whatever you can do to clear out these things can help you vastly. But the main thing is to purify your own mind. Our mind can be heaven or hell. There is a story about a student who went to a Shifu and he went to attack him. He was going to kill him with a knife. He said, "I will kill you." And the Shifu said, "Well, this is hell." And then he dropped the knife and he repented. And he said, I'm so sorry. I won't do it ever again. I'm so sorry. What was I thinking?" And he said, "This is the beginning of heaven. What we create, we become." So There are many issues that can manifest in our body when we hold things in. For example, ulcers, or they might not be ulcers, they could just be mild stomach aches that occur. And these are signs and signals, and we should look into those. And we should look into our minds. That's the beauty of Zen. When we sit and we look at the wall and we sit in our silence, we get to see all those processes of the mind that are constantly moving and going. Your mind is always, always moving and changing and figuring out what's going on around it constantly. But there is one thing within you that stays constant during that entire process. And this is what you watch. You watch as your mind moves from that place of stillness that you truly are, which is your true nature. And then you embody this. So, I drew another card here. This was an Archangel Michael deck, and it says, "Decide to be happy now." Decide to be happy now. And I gotta say, I'm pretty happy that I was able to talk about this, because for a long time I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone about this. I really thought I had to sit with it by myself and figure it out, which I did. But now I wanted to tell people about it because it felt right. So that's what I have to say for today. Be well. May all beings in all the worlds be happy. Take care.